Welcome back to the Players First podcast. It's been a few weeks since we recorded our last episode. We had BC on. Obviously, times are a little crazy right now, so we appreciate you guys bearing with us. Today, we got on former Wildcat and also war number 13 while he was a Cat, Sam Malone, who was a part of the 2012 National Championship team and went to 3 Final Fours in his 4 years on campus. Sam, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me on, Riley. Happy to be on the podcast.
Of course. So tell Big Blue Nation what you've been up to for the past 4 or 5 years since graduation.
Oh man. So after I graduated, I started living with Nerlens and working with Nerlens and was helping him work out and helping him with different stuff around Philadelphia for my first year after college. And that was kind of a stepping stone for me. And I really learned a lot that first year. And after that, I moved to Boston, where I'm from originally. And I got very interested in startup companies. And so started consulting and working with a different group of startup companies. And then in 2018, I started my own business. And so I'm up in Boston working on that company now and having fun, traveling a lot before this whole quarantine happened. And yeah.
So your company's Guru Club, you started it in 2018. Tell us a little bit about that, what the business is, where the inspiration for it came from.
Absolutely. So what the business is, it's an e-commerce technology that allows brands to give rebates and store credit in exchange for their customers posting Instagram stories about them. So basically, as a customer, you buy a story, you can be incentivized. You buy a product, you can be incentivized before, during, or after your purchase. You sign up for Guru Club, tag the brand in the story, and you get cash back in your bank account the next day. And so as for a brand, it's the most cost-efficient and authentic way to advertise. And you don't really have to pay an influencer. It's a real customer, and it's a real person that you know likes the product. And kind of the genesis of it was I was always interested as a marketing major. At UK, I was always interested in marketing, and I saw my teammates getting all these different endorsement deals, and it always fascinated me, like where everything was going with social media and all that stuff. And finally, we've reached a point where the average everyday consumer has a large sway over their audience. So we're basically empowering these everyday shoppers to talk about their favorite brands.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I've been watching a lot of Shark Tank with my family over the past week or so. It's about all we've watched. So I'm always interested learning about different ways people start companies. You went in on it with someone else, right? You have a co-founder?
Yeah, I have 2 co-founders. They're both technical co-founders, but I'm a CEO, and we have a team of about 6 or 7 right now. And it's funny you mentioned Shark Tank because we have a bunch of companies that were on Shark Tank. Ice Shaker, which is the Gronkowski's company, they were on Shark Tank. iSlide, which makes custom slides for teams and
is
people.
That Antonio Brown's company?
Yeah, he invested in that company, yeah. And so it's cool to see all these different unique companies and then watching the customers basically tell the story for these companies. And they're so happy because they don't have to pay for advertising. It's all about bartering with your own customers. And if a brand really likes the content or likes the profile of the person, they're able to tip them more in store credit. So you have like these people that you're constantly tipping and they're constantly posting for you, and it creates like a community around your brand.
Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. So I read about you, did a little research on you, and I saw that you were contemplating either between going into coaching or going into marketing. So what kind of led you astray from coaching and into like the more business side of a post-basketball career?
Part of it was being in a gym for 4 years. I kind of wanted to see different parts of the world, and business always fascinated me. And like I said, I saw like a lot of the endorsement deals that my teammates were getting, and I realized that it was changing really fast. And it really fascinated me how people were getting compensated for creating content and telling their following about it.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What was it that intrigued you about going into coaching at some point? Because that's what I plan on doing post playing career. So what incentivized you to spend a year training Nerlens and living with him and helping him adjust to the NBA?
Well, I just love the game of basketball, and when you get to learn from Coach Cal for 4 years and really kind of understand where he's coming from and how he treats his players, it's definitely, it makes you want to coach and it makes you want to be a leader. And yeah, there's no other kind of better platform to start a coaching career than Kentucky basketball. And yeah, I mean, I still love the game of basketball. I still play a lot, but it's not kind of on an official level.
No, I feel that. I've seen some of your Instagram stories. You playing one-on-one against the Gronkowski brothers. Seems like you kind of take advantage of them a little bit. Obviously, Gronk's a physical specimen, but seeing you finish at the rim on him, which is pretty impressive. Kind of, how did you end up at UK? What was that process like? Where else were you considering coming out of high school? And what led you to make the decision to join UK?
So I had gone to Situate High School in Massachusetts, and I played there and had a really good start to my freshman, sophomore years, and then had some really, really bad knee injuries, 3 or 4 knee surgery, three knee surgeries in high school, and then a fourth going into my freshman year in college. And I didn't really know where I was going to go. And I had been going to Coach Cal's camps forever since he was at Memphis. And every single year I'd be there. And even if I was flying by myself as a teenager down to Memphis to go to those camps. And I think he really saw me as a player and as a person and what I could bring to a team at that point. And then as soon as he offered me the spot, I jumped at it and didn't think twice about it. And to this day, I mean, the experience is unbelievable. And I'm jealous that you're still in college because it's just so much fun. Yeah,
no, that's what people always ask me, like, what's it like to play at Kentucky? Because I've been, my journey's been kind of crazy. Obviously, I came here as a junior, but I tell people it's exactly what you think playing basketball at Kentucky is like.
Yeah,
it's really fun. There's no other place in the country that treats you how the Kentucky fan base is going to treat you. Like, it's just, I don't play at all, and I'm treated as if I'm going to be a lottery pick. And a lot of places are treated better than guys who actually are going to be lottery picks. And it's just a really special atmosphere and a really special place, and really great program. And obviously, you had a lot of success while you were here. What was it like winning the championship in 2012?
That was a special team, and it was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And as a freshman coming in, I was like, wow, is it like this every year? And it was such an amazing team to be on, and to see Anthony dominate the way he did, and kind of you knew you were part of something special the whole year. And that was just, I mean, it's indescribable. I mean, one of the most memorable moments is actually when we lost to Indiana. Mm-hmm. And that was like just such an amazing atmosphere, and getting stormed on by the fans is something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, that's another thing that I don't think people realize what makes playing at Kentucky special. It's not only are the home games, you're playing in front of 20,000 plus people. It's always sold out, but you go on the road, and every road, Vanderbilt, I don't think gets much more than 3,000 or 4,000 people per game.
Yeah.
And we're there at Vandy, and it's completely sold out. We got 3/4 of the gym wearing Kentucky blue. And, it's just every game's like that. We go down to Texas Tech. It's the biggest game in the history of their program. We play at Arkansas. Cal gets thrown out. Just unbelievable atmospheres, and it's everywhere you go.
Yeah, I remember I have some funny stories, but I remember at Arkansas, I think an Arkansas fan DM'd my sister and asked for my phone number and said they were a friend of mine. And the whole student section had my phone number on a card, and I had 150 voicemails the next day, and my phone was just blowing up from Arkansas fans. It's like,
you have to change your number?
I didn't have to change my number. It kind of died down, but they got my number and they got Willie Colley's number, and Yeah, it was like thousands of people calling him.
That's actually pretty clever. Yeah, no, I'm always very obviously you can't control your sister, like make sure she doesn't get tricked. But I always am very selective about who I give my number out to now.
They put the Arkansas fans put a bike on Craigslist under my name, and like were like being like texting me, being like, "Hey, I want to buy your bike from you." It was like a California, like I was out in California. It was ridiculous.
What year was that?
That was my senior year, I think.
Tell us what it was like being on that 38-0 team. That must have been a crazy, crazy ride.
It was a crazy ride, and it's a shame at it's sad how it ended the way it did, that we didn't finish it out undefeated. But it was such a deep team, and like there were so many weapons, and it was just like unbelievable. I mean, to be undefeated and throughout the regular season, it's just like it's indescribable. And to have that many guys that could play at a high level and dominate, and you never know whose night it was going to be. So it was just an incredible experience. And I wish we could have won those last two games, been undefeated for the whole 2 years, but it's still like it should be looked at as one of the best college basketball teams of all time.
Yeah, it was amazing how dominant you guys were. I still remember watching that Final Four game against Wisconsin, and I was a junior in high school and shocked at the result. I mean, that's the thing about a tournament sport, single elimination. I don't think there's a chance you guys don't win the national championship that year if it's a playoff format like in the NBA.
Yeah.
Far and away the best team that year. What were practices like with that team? I think there were 6 guys drafted, 7 pros off just like the next year off that team. What were practices like?
Practices were super competitive. Just the two backcourts of Devin and Tyler versus the twins. That was always they were always kind of going back and forth at it, and it was definitely the most competitive practice year that we had. As a walk-on, it's funny. It's like sometimes, depending on the year, sometimes you're like participate a ton in practice, and sometimes you're really not doing much other than just the scout stuff. And that was one of those years where the walk-ons were not doing much at all in practice.
Yeah, no, I've been there. When I first got to campus, I didn't participate in a live drill for probably 2 months.
Yeah.
And, we had some injuries, and you start playing, and coach realizes you're not, able to help in some capacity, and you get more, and, it's a lot of fun. But there are times where you're just kind of, you have a different role than the rest of the guys on the team. And so you're there to support and, bring what you can in any capacity.
But you always got to be ready to go from 0 to 100 at any time, like in the snap.
Yeah, and if you're not paying attention, they're not going to be like, oh, it's okay. Like, you weren't in. It's, if you're going to be out there, you're going to be asked to, pay attention and contribute at the same level everyone else is.
Yeah.
Speaking of being a walk-on at UK, what were your experiences like, from your freshman year to your senior year? How did you grow? Like, what was the learning curve like? What did you learn as a senior that you didn't know as a freshman?
Well, I think my sophomore year, the year that Nerlens got hurt and we ended up going to the NIT, that was a really challenging year for everyone in the program. And that was just coming off the national title to having kind of a disappointing sophomore year. I think really toughened up all of us. And that was the amount we ran that year was get in the line, 2020s and just nonstop running. But it made us a lot tougher as a group. And so that was definitely a year that we grew a lot. And then going into my junior year, the year we lost to UConn in the finals, that was a really tough year for the first 75% of the year, and um, we were very kind of average a lot, and then we just really turned it on in the tournament. So for that whole stretch between my sophomore year to the end of my junior year was a pretty challenging time.
And I remember your junior year, you guys, I think were the number one team preseason, again, or, top five, somewhere around there. A lot of hype, a lot of expectation, just, pretty much every year there is at UK. And then I think Julius was still coming off a significant foot injury, right? He was on that team, and it took and it took him a while to kind of find his footing. And I think you guys were an 8 seed, if I'm correct, and you played Wichita State in the second round and upset them.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that what was that game like? Because that was a heck of a team.
That was an unbelievable game. That Wichita State team was stacked. And Cleanthony Early had like 30 points on us that game. But I remember a lot of guys stepped up for us. James Young hit some big shots. Julius Randle had some big plays down the stretch, and that was a great win. That was one of the all-time favorite wins that I was a part of.
So it's crazy that you went to 3 Final Fours, and the one year you didn't go to a Final Four, you guys didn't make the tournament. And obviously, there were extenuating circumstances with Nerlens tearing his ACL at Florida.
I had three Final Fours and a first-round NIT.
Yep, Oral Roberts, right?
Yeah.
I remember that game. That's pretty amazing. What was the NIT experience like? Because that's something I don't think many UK players ever experience, let alone a national championship.
The gym that we played in was like a high school gym, and it was just Robert
Morris, not Oral Roberts.
Yeah, and it was like a high school gym, was going nuts. There's no chance that we should have ever lost that game, but it was like, we're in the NIT. Like, this is, it was just, there was no gas left in the tank. But again, it was all part of the experience, the way I look at it. And it was, you went from being on top to being like, within a year. So,
and I know, we have incredibly passionate fans, so I can't imagine them being too happy with that loss to Robert Morris.
No.
What was it like? What was it like coming back to campus after you guys won the national championship?
From the airport all the way to campus was just lined with like 3 rows of people, and there were so many people. We pulled into Rupp, and the whole gym was packed. It was absolutely incredible. And then to see this, like, Anthony and Michael go 1 and 2 and kind of, be happy for their success. It was just like a very, very happy time on campus, and felt like a rock star at that time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I assume you had to have a similar feeling, when you guys were 38-0, just on top of the world. And I don't think you guys really had too many close games that year.
No, we didn't. I got in a lot of games my freshman year, speaking of close games.
Yeah.
Then senior year, there were so many guys that, like, we did have blowouts, but like our second team in, or even third team in, we're still blowing teams out, which was crazy because we were so deep.
No, I talked to Joel this year, and he talked about the 2014-15 team, and I think you're like 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, like your third unit was, you had 2 guys in there, Dom Hawkins and
Derek.
Yeah, and Derek Willis Jr., who, were really, really good players, but they were just on such a talented team, they didn't get a whole lot of run that year. And so he's like, man, that probably was incredible to be a part of.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Uh, so I looked at your Twitter the other day. I think the first tweet I saw was you in front of Drake in the line at Big Blue Madness, and Drake
Yeah.
obviously shoots an air ball. Uh, what was it like having him, around, meeting him? Obviously, he's one of the, biggest icons in the world in music, you know, fashion, just pop culture.
It was cool. He was at Big Blue Madness. You could tell walking from the locker room to the court that he had got really nervous about like, oh, I'm really about to warm up in front of all these people. So it was funny, like seeing like a guy who is one of the best performers in the world, kind of being out of his element. But to have him around and kind of talk to us, it's awesome. I mean, um, he's genuinely a huge fan of the team, and so it's really cool that he comes by and shows his support.
No, speaking of like being out of your element, I remember I'd only been on campus for, I don't know, a little over 2 months when we had Big Blue Madness. And I remember walking out of the tunnel and I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Like, it was just so overwhelming, so many people, so crazy. Ended up being a lot of fun, but I could definitely see what, I mean, I've never performed in front of a lot of people like Drake, so I'm a little surprised that he got nervous, but he definitely showed it in his shooting on the court.
I think we played a blue and white game, and it was like the first time we had been on Rupp, and like literally I probably took like 2 layups before, so I'd never shot in Rupp, and like got in at the end of the blue and white game and caught it. First shot in Rupp was just an absolute airball, I think. So it's being in an atmosphere like that for the first time is definitely intimidating.
Yeah, my first shot at Rupp, we were playing Kentucky State in an exhibition game, and I caught it. I mean, you sit on the bench for an hour and a half, and then everyone gets very excited for you, and you really appreciate it. But you don't shoot, and you're not really warming up. You're getting other guys, deferring to them because they're the guys that are going to shoot. I get in, everyone, screams, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it at you. And I pump fake, tried to get fouled, and shot an air ball. And I was like, I ended up getting left at Rupp. The bus is left without me. The van's back to the lodge left without me, so I had to walk home. And
Wow.
I learned the hard way. If you don't produce at UK, it's tough. But it's obviously a lot of fun. Coach Cal called you a fan favorite while you were on campus. I know you had a Sam Malone Zone T-shirts made upon completion of your career. Kind of talk us through where the idea for those came from.
Well, the idea for those came from after we had lost. Like, there was so much anticipation, and like there was kind of like a mourning period of like, wow, I can't believe we were 38-0 and we just lost. And so as a joke, I made the T-shirts, and then they really started catching on, and like all these different sports publications like Bleacher Report and Barstool Sports and Sports Illustrated and all these different publications were writing about it. So I started selling socks, and we did like 15,000 in the first couple of weeks, and then decided I didn't want to sell T-shirts with my face on it for the rest of my life, so I would move on from that. But it kind of like helped lead me into where I'm at now with getting experience with e-commerce and how all that stuff works and selling online and stuff like that. So it was fun at the moment, and I still have a bunch of the T-shirts around, the Sam Malone Zone T-shirts. So
yeah, they were very cool. I thought that was ingenious. And the headband was a part of your look while you were on campus. What inspired that?
The headband came from, I had big crazy hair at the time, and like part of it was, as a walk-on, as like the fans just get on you so much. So I figured I would just throw in a headband to really troll them. Like, in the constant thing, like, you're never going to play. You're never going to play. It's like, yeah, there's 10 first-round picks in front of me. Of like, of course I'm not going to play. So that was kind of where the headband started. It was definitely part of my my repertoire, and it we never lost for 38 straight games when I wore the headband, so I couldn't take it off at any point.
No, I understand that for sure. And yeah, you do get a lot of you try and bring energy from the end of the bench, do what you can. And all the students will tell you is that you're not going to play. And they tell you, you haven't played. I'm like, do you think you're telling me something I don't know? Like, I know I'm not in the game. You don't need to keep reminding me. Like, you're not affecting me. But, you can always hear sometimes you'll hear a comment from a fan, whether it's about you or about a teammate, and it just makes you want to laugh. It's funny, but you kind of got to keep a straight face. But there are a lot of times where you hear a lot of reckless things said. Not so much, I guess they don't bother me too much because most of them are, about not playing. And like you said, there's so much talent here. Like I'm I'm a part of the best basketball program in the history of college basketball. And, there are worse places to not play at. But some of the things they'll say about, your family or your teammates and stuff, it really is amazing how people forget that the guys they're talking to are anywhere from like 18 to 22.
Yeah, and part of the reasoning with the headband was I figured if all the fans yelled at me instead of all the guys that actually were, making the majority of the shots, then that would kind of distract them.
No, I feel that for sure. You tore your ACL your freshman year, correct?
Yeah, I did. Actually, it was in a game, believe it or not. And it was one of those things, like you said, you're on the bench for an hour and a half straight. Get off the bench, and I had knee problems to begin with. And my thing was, like, I would always pretty much attack the rim when I got in the game. Just like that was like my MO. And went to the rim, did like an in and out, and just tore my ACL right there my freshman year, and was out for the rest of the year. And really got to learn a lot about rehabilitation on your knees and stuff like that at that point. And the training staff did a great job, and got to spend a lot of time rehabbing my knees. And by my senior year, like I had felt like I had never even had 4 knee surgeries, which was great.
Yeah, injuries are never fun. I tore both labrums in my hips my senior year of high school. And that's something that I've been dealing with ever since. And rehab is the worst. It's, not fun at all. So I can only imagine going through 4 knee surgeries, how much time you spent in the training room doing rehab and things like that. So just the fact that you finished out your career says a lot about how important it was to you.
Definitely.
Did you ever consider retiring after you tore your ACL your freshman year?
Not really. I mean, it was such a special year that I was like, I wanted to complete. It was definitely a challenge for me to be able to come back and still be able to play.
Your senior year, you guys were 30-0 going into senior night, and you played Florida at home. You started that game. What was that like?
So it's funny. Like I had always, like, from the fans' reputation of me was that I always wanted to shoot when I got in. And we're in the huddle, and it's me, Brian, Todd, Carl, and Andrew. And as soon as Coach Cal's like how he does like his circle huddle, and like I'm sitting on the stool, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually in the huddle. And he's like, Sam, if you shoot, I will take you out of the game. He's like, if you shoot, do not shoot. He was like, whatever you do, Sam, do not. Like, looked at me out of everyone. I'm like, whoa. Like, so I never got the opportunity there, but I might have shot it. And I think, I don't know who the assistant coach was at the time. I think it was Tony Barbie, and he's at the same time he's tapping me, and he's like, shoot it when you get it, shoot it. So TV has no problem getting you in trouble with Cal.
Yeah. Man, I love TV. He's a great guy. Who were the other assistants with you that year? Was KP there? KP was there.
Yeah. Joel, Tony.
So Rob. You had pretty much the exact same staff as we do now.
My senior year, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of good guys on the coaching staff. Really fortunate to learn from them. So obviously, being in Boston, like we've seen, like following on Instagram, you're close with the Gronkowski brothers.
Yeah.
How did that relationship start? Like, where did that come from? Like, did you know him growing up, or?
No, it's funny. The first time I met Rob Gronkowski was at the Kentucky Derby, and my senior year in 2015. I had been introduced to him through a mutual friend, and we were at a couple of like the Derby parties with the guys who had declared for the draft, and other teammates, and we just started hanging out like the whole Derby weekend, and partied together a bit, and just became like good friends. And then I hadn't seen him for like 3 or 4 years, and coincidentally, I became best friends with his older brother over that time period. And so then I reconnected with Rob and got to be, back hanging out with Rob a lot. And I was actually living at his condo in Seaport in Boston for a while, a couple of years ago. And yeah, his whole family is been great to me and very close friends of mine. And I've gone to his childhood house in Buffalo, been training him in Foxborough, like with basketball drills and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. So we will literally be in his backyard, like doing different ball handling drills. And we do a lot of lob drills where him catching the ball, different points and dunking it. And so hopefully we can see a little more. I don't want to take credit for anything, but if he has, his hands are a little better this year, I'll take a tiny bit of credit.
Did you know before he announced that he was going to come back and unretire?
I had a feeling because he was amping up his training, and it doesn't surprise me. And he's done a great job of taking care of his body and everything he eats, everything he does. He's always getting massages like nonstop. He's always taking care of himself very well. And so it didn't surprise me when he decided to come back. He's had a lot of injuries in the past, but if you look at it, like he doesn't really have any limp or have any aching pains or anything like that. And even on a basketball court, like he's a pretty ferocious dunker for the size that he is. So it's pretty cool to see.
No, obviously he's a freak of nature. How is he as a person? I think that's a lot of the, what people don't realize about professional athletes is generally what good people they are and how genuine they are. I assume Rob's that way.
Oh, definitely. And with having 4 other brothers who play professional sports, they're always there to kind of keep him in check. And not that he needs it, but just generally, having that great support system around you. He's got the right frame of mind. He's always willing to help in any different ways with charities and stuff like that. And again, his training is unbelievable. The way he's picked up a lot from Tom Brady as far as the way you take care of yourself, the way you eat, the way you train and stretch and everything. So it's really cool to be around somebody who's performing at that high of a level, and seeing it with my teammates as well. And you see a lot of the same qualities between someone like Anthony Davis and Gronk.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. The amount of obviously being at UK, you see so much basketball talent. And then being around Gronk, who's, an all-time great football player, it's always interesting getting to see the crossover between sports and, what characteristics great, talented people, regardless of sport, what they share with each other. I actually briefly met Gronk when I was a junior in high school. I don't know if you guys can see, I got a picture of him.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got a selfie with him a while back. So he was, very nice. I think it was at the Players Tribune launch party in New York because I went to high school in New Jersey for a year. Just seemed like a genuine, fun-loving guy. I think he was enjoying himself, as he's known to. But yeah, it was really cool.
Nice.
What if you had to pick outside of winning a championship, outside of wins, or what was your favorite memory at UK outside of the big stuff everyone would think of?
being being on a team and like and always being part of that group and being part of something is special, and just like stuff that you normally don't think about at the time, like going out to dinner with everyone and just hanging out and talking trash and video games and stuff like that. Like it's just like it's fun being part of that group, and I think that's the best thing is the relationships that you make. And yeah, it goes by fast. So for you, and definitely cherish every moment of it, because it's an incredible experience. Like, and you want to remember as much as you can from it, and take as much as you can from it. And yeah, I think the relationships that you build there are the best part for sure.
Yeah, no, I just think of like we beat Louisville this year, and that was kind of a turning point in our season where we really, I'd say from that point on we were the best team in the country, and we went out to Cheesecake before that game. Like as a team, during Camp Cal, you eat pretty much as a team every night. You spend a lot of time together, 2-a-days. And since we beat Louisville at home, before every home game for the rest of the year, we went to Cheesecake Factory. And, sometimes you got homework or you got other things you want to do. But then now, like, I think back at those times, just going to Cheesecake and that's the thing about UK, you're not going to have the continuity year to year that, some of the other programs have, just with so much talent. So knowing, those 15 guys probably won't ever be, in a restaurant together again is, sad, but it brings a smile to your face, like knowing all the memories you shared and all the fun you had together.
Definitely. Yeah. And being a walk-on, it's like the walk-ons are sometimes the only ones that go from freshman to sophomore to all the way through. So it's you kind of end up being part of the glue there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy. Next year, I'll have only been here for 2 years, and I'll be the only senior. I'll be the longest tenured member, and be the only senior that was there. Not, that's not my only year. So I don't think there's very many places like that, and it's really cool. Obviously you meet friends. You don't want to see your friends leave, but when your friend's about to be millionaires and playing the NBA, like, yeah, I understand. And you're very happy for them. If there's one piece of advice you would give me going forward into my senior year that you'd wish someone had told you when you were my age, what would it be?
Ooh, that is a good question. That is such a good question. I mean, I guess in a broad sense, just cherishing the experience, but I would also say that enjoy the part beyond just the winning, and like the growing of the team as well, and even like the running, the 6 a.m. 2020s or whatever it is, like that's the grind is fun in itself. And so I would say definitely enjoy the difficult moments as well.
Sam, thank you so much for coming on. It was great meeting you. A lot of fun talking. Hopefully we, have fans at games this year. We have a season, we're able to take care of everything, and hopefully you're back on campus soon and we get to connect in person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's definitely do that. And if I'll be down in Lexington for a game for sure if everything's on schedule. So we'll definitely do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Riley. I'll see you.